from America's finest city. This is Real Talk San Diego on ESPN 1700.
What's happening, gang? You are live back in the Secret Stash, tracking down some of the coolest local people, talking about some important local stuff. Who knows, maybe catching a story or two with the idea of leaving you all better than how we found you. This is Real Talk Radio San Diego. I'm your host, Jesse Ibanez, co-founder of the Greenhouse Group, helping folks get into and out of homes. That's our game, located right down here in the heart of San Diego, and moving people with purpose. Speaking of purpose, my man, Kenneth Stone, live in the studio today. And the reason why we got Kenneth in from Stone Law Group is because, hate to admit this, gang, but, the whole concept of moving money, moving large amounts of money around, moving families around, a lot of logistics, a lot of moving parts. And, oh, by the way, guess what? It breaks sometimes. And that's why we got to have a man like Kenneth potentially in our corner to talk about real estate litigation. I know it's like the dun, right? No one wants to talk about when things go wrong. It's like having a prenup or a or a sit down meeting with a divorce lawyer before you ever get married. It's the thing you don't want to have to go there if you don't have to. But guess what? When it does go wrong, you got to know a couple things on, first of all, how to avoid it, right? But then when it does break, how to deal with it. And so, like I said, I got my man Kenneth Stone, Stone Law Group. Kenneth, thank you for being in the stash, brother.
You're welcome. Good morning, Jesse.
Now, I know, your fans adore you. They idolize you. You got line outside the door right now. But for someone who doesn't know who you are, what you do, why don't you introduce yourself for the first time?
Well, thank you. I've been an attorney practicing law in the San Diego community since 1978. Our law firm is located at 624 Broadway in downtown San Diego, and we handle mostly civil litigation matters with a concentration in the business, real estate, and probate areas, which also has a crossover into real estate.
Yeah, well said. And that's one thing I think that's interesting about your game meaning, helping folks get into, hopefully out of trouble, depending on what side of that fence you're on, is that there is a lot of crossover, right? So what is it about your specific bag of tricks that has yielded that little grouping? So like civil law, real estate law, like why was that what found you?
Well, actually, I started out in the late 70s with partners at a time when we had a much broader range of legal services we provided. And over the years, I just found that I sort of had a natural movement towards handling real estate litigation matters, and that's just become a big part of my practice over the years. I was actually a real estate broker for a period of time, although I wasn't very active. I took the test and had a small brokerage for a few years. But so I've always enjoyed real estate. I find the issues challenging and just seem to have a lot of clients in that area.
Well, and that's exactly why we're grateful enough to have you in the stash today, because you said it, man, challenging areas. And it seems as though this amoeba just keeps on moving and growing in mass as we evolve. I'd love it if we all could adopt the Steve Jobs mentality of contracts, where if it's on more than one page, I ain't signing it. Well, welcome to the real estate world, where there's about 78 pages, I think, to get through. And that's just on one offer, if you're lucky enough to get the first one through. And we have a new contract, right, that just got released end of last year, in practice earlier this year.
That's right. The CAR forms, which most realtors use, continually change and always seem to get longer. More disclosures, more things to consider for both the buyers and the sellers.
Well, you guys keep winning and losing lawsuits, which just ends up amassing to more words on our contracts.
Well, that's true, and but the goal is really to have as many disclosures as possible, so that both sides have a meaningful agreement with nothing held back.
Imagine that, right? And unfortunately, stuff doesn't always go to plan, right? Everybody walks into a contract with the best of intentions. You hope in good faith. And then, stuff ends up kind of going by the wayside, falling apart, unraveling, whatever you want to call it. Well, let's start maybe with that as the frame. So, people can find themselves in the idea, okay, yeah, real estate, big deal, things go wrong. But more specifically, like, if we had to nail down maybe like your top hit singles, right, over the course of the last several decades, like, what would you say would be the number one thing you see go wrong in a traditional real estate purchase?
Well, usually it's a lack of disclosure, and it can be either an inadvertent lack of disclosure, or sometimes it's an intentional lack of disclosure or an intentional concealment of a condition. So what happens in those situations is, even though all the paperwork gets signed, escrow closes, sometime later the buyer perhaps realizes that there was some feature of the home they bought that wasn't disclosed, and that's how the process of mediation or arbitration or litigation begins.
Yeah. And this is so, I want to say that it's without malice, and it's so pervasive in the sense that when I'm sitting down with a seller, that discovery process, it's like if they've been in that home for any period of time, let's just throw out a nominal five years. Doesn't seem like a lot, but man, a lot happens in 5 years. Especially if you bought it in the last 5 years and the home happened to be maybe distressed, and you had to go do a bunch of stuff to kind of get it back up to snuff. Well, after you get the home and the threshold drops down, you're not so concerned with maybe going all of the way, all of the distance of doing everything absolutely correct. And there's corners that can get cut. There's things that you might have forgotten that you even did. And those things can break and cause problems. And so the challenge, and correct me if I'm wrong, of course, that's why we got you as the expert in the house, is that they meaning the seller, play the card of, I didn't know. I didn't know, right? Oh, I didn't even think that was a thing. Or I totally forgot I did that. What happens then?
Well, the important thing is if there is any question about a particular condition in the property, it should be disclosed in the real estate transfer disclosure statement, and also in the agent's visual inspection if the agent is aware of it. In situations where the seller makes a conscious decision to hold back, he or she is really acting at their own peril, because those are the situations that involve claims of concealment as opposed to just an inadvertent failure to disclose. Yeah,
well said. And the SPQ, right, the seller property questionnaire, that seems to be the more long-form one where you actually get to hash out any knowledge that they really had about the property or things that they've done since under their watch, yes?
That's true.
Yeah. So let's say, but go back to that point again. Let's say that like somebody is, like literally, I'm not just like cooking this in, for effect on the radio. Like they really didn't realize what they did was a bad thing, or they forgot to disclose it properly. Like, is there like what form of negligence is applied to a situation like that where they really omitted it?
Well, there's a particular statute that addresses a failure to disclose on the real estate transfer disclosure statement and makes it actionable even if it was negligent. The situation where the seller is absolved from liability is if they truly had no knowledge of the condition.
Like it was pre-existing and was never discovered? Got it.
Pre-existing, never discovered, and they didn't know about it. And then unfortunately, if the buyer discovers it later on, even though they feel like they perhaps didn't get what they paid for, in those situations, they're stuck because perhaps they didn't have a thorough enough investigation on their own, or it just was one of those things where nobody knew about it ahead of time.
Yeah, by the way, I'd love to get as many stories as possible, because I love having someone with your wealth of knowledge. It's like, oh, yeah, got a great one for that. One that actually I'm familiar with, just happened earlier this year, was there was a flip company that purchased a house and did the whole dance, did the whole flip. And there was a basement that the owner had attempted to kind of finish, never quite got there. And it just looked like a good-hearted faith effort to kind of get a little more storage space. Well, little did the listing agent know, or the seller know, that owner had actually applied for permits and didn't get them. And literally 2 weeks before closing escrow, the city shows up at their house with all of these fines and penalties and everything from the last owner that was never discovered as part of their due diligence process. I mean, come on, cash buyer, flip, you probably only 7-day escrow anyway. I don't know a lot what you're going to discover in that process. But, I mean, man, they got stuck with that whole bill. Now they have to lift the house up and redo the entire foundation. There goes that flip budget.
Sure.
It's terrible, right?
Yeah. Well, I'll give you another story. I had
Please.
A case some years ago of a lady who bought a house in Spring Valley. It looked perfect. It was showcased. Brand new hardwood floor. She moves in, and a few months later, the floor starts to buckle.
Yep.
And picks up the floor panels and finds out that there is actually a cracked slab beneath the floor.
Shocker in Spring Valley.
Right, which turned out to be somewhat common in Spring Valley because of the clay in the soil. And what we found was that not only was there a crack in the slab, there was traces of epoxy that had been placed there.
Ooh, dun dun dun.
So we found the previous owner of the house who had sold it to the seller, who sold it to our client, and that previous owner had bought it as a cracked slab property and
didn't disclose it to the second guy.
So they disclosed it to their buyer, but their buyer, who was our client's seller, didn't disclose it to our buyer.
Got it.
And doing that investigation actually made the case in that case.
Wow. That's deadly.
The converse of that is we've had another case where sellers sold a property, didn't know there was a soil problem, and some months after the buyer purchased the house, there was subsidence. And in that situation, the sellers had no idea, but the buyers are unhappy, so they initiate the litigation process anyway.
Mm-hmm. And something like that, the seller's not going to be negligible for that, correct?
No, but they still have to defend the case, unfortunately.
Yeah. That's why we got my man Kenneth Stone in the house, gang. Live in the Stash. By the way, speaking of live, Ken, we're streaming this whole thing on the Meerkat app. So if you want to catch Ken and all of his handsome gloriness right here in the Stash Nation, you can go on to Meerkat. Our handle, it's all connected to Twitter, is Follow the Stash. And you can ask Ken any question you might have right now about real estate litigation, how to avoid it, and how to deal with it. By the way, Ken, dropping knowledge in the Stash. You want to get some answers for yourself. You might want to go check Ken out at thestonelawgroup.net, right, Ken?
That's right.
And the what's the phone number in case they're old school like me?
619-233-1818.
Good. 619-233-1818. Any other number one hits before we go into break?
Not that I can think of, but I'll think of them over the break.
Fair enough. And who knows, maybe we'll get that live on the Meerkat app when we do. So, gang, coming up, we're going to get into what buyers and sellers can do to avoid litigation. I mean, this is the key, gang, right? I mean, this is why we got the Messiah in the house right now. What are we going to do to be able to get ourselves out of trouble in the first place? That's Stash Nation, gang. Thanks for hanging out. Real Talk Radio San Diego. We'll be right back.